Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here. I am back from my second vacation. I take second vacations. I'm a prima donna. I just do it. But I'm back, able to watch soccer, able to return to watch soccer, and John is clearly upset with me because he decides to reward me by wearing a Forward Madison shirt. So
it's like when you
say mean things to you.
It's like when you go on a vacation and your dog eats the drywall of your walls because he's mad at you, and this is how he shows you that he's mad at you. That's what this is.
My dog, fortunately, we have left our dog a lot now, but he doesn't seem to be upset with us. He seems to be just happy to see us.
I'm going to send him a very small Forward Madison jersey, which is get a dog one.
And it'll go directly, or I'll burn it in effigy at like a tailgate or something like that. That's probably what's going to happen. Exactly. Well, welcome in, folks. We are all smiles here, at least in DC United land. We'll talk a little bit in Spirit land. Things are less happy, I guess you could say that. But right now for the DC United, all smiles all the time. DC United is rocketing up the table right now.
Rocketing. We're doing all of it.
All of it. Rocketing up the table right now. We're going to go chronologically here. First, John, I know you made me angry, but how was your weekend, my friend? I hope you did well.
It was good. I didn't make it out to Segra on Saturday night. Just wasn't able to do it. So I had a kind of a very quiet, slow weekend for a change. It was kind of a nice change of pace, but ready to, there was some good soccer on, at least on Sunday. We got some joy out of that, so it was a pretty good weekend.
It was a pretty good win. It's always good when DC wins, and always good to see DC win when things are confident. And let's start with I think the biggest of the two wins. DC United picking up a 4-2 win on the road. We had a special live post game show that we did right after the game. Hot takes. We've had a week to settle it. We obviously have the knowledge of what happened in the last week. Any changing opinions? Give me some thoughts, man. What were some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I know that before that game on the Monday show last week, we talked about sort of making a strategic deployment of resources about where you're going to try to win, where you're going to try to draw. And the Columbus game, I think for both of us, was kind of the game where we're like, well, if we don't win that one. A draw would be great. 4 points would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And that we got a lot more than 4 points. It was eventful because of Bill Hamid becoming injured, Jordi Reyna sort of emerging from a season-long hibernation to really put a stamp on a game, which was awesome. And then Ola Kamara continuing to be, and we'll talk about that a lot later, but continuing to be one of the hottest strikers in MLS. I think probably definitely the hottest striker in MLS if you look at his goal scoring of lately, his record. But it was a good game. I think at halftime you tweeted bad vibes, basically. Like it was.
I mean, it's one of those things. I had this thought. I had this memory. I was like, man, I feel really down. And then I kind of thought about it and said, oh man, we've been here before. DC's been here many times on the road. I think even like all throughout the Olsen era, there were at least a few games where DC would be up 3-0. I'll never forget the Toronto game when Luciano Acosta was subbed out in that game, and I think we took out Ola. We took out Ola or Jordi Reyna. I'm digging back in my memory. We took somebody out at halftime. I think it was more of a conservation. We got a game next week. It was probably the same in that game. And then watching in the game with Acosta kind of gestures up to the screen. And I remember thinking back then, I'm like, I think we're about to see something pretty bad. And Columbus would then rocket back to draw the game. Not a good vibe. I think they also had a game against Seattle in 2019. Same situation. However, this game did not happen. But this did not happen.
It felt like it. I understand the feeling. I understand the concern. Basically, there was too much going right. And the second half kind of started off pretty horribly. 2 goals given up. John Kempen making a boo on the first one. Mm-hmm. And then the second one was the one off the post and then tapped in, right? If I'm recalling correctly. Yes. Almost entirely a week ago. But they were able to make it John Kempen, I think, and we'll talk about it too when we get to the game on Sunday, not not fantastic performances coming out. He's not played in a long time. That's the worst thing I think about the setup with not really having a reserve league, not really having opportunities to get those players real game minutes, non-scrimmage minutes. And when they come in basically, off of a 3-month cooler and come into a game in the middle of it, it's kind of hard to be ready to go. That's their job, but it's also hard. And we're going to be without Bill for a while, and I feel like we're going to have to score a lot of goals. I feel like we're going to want to score 2 goals a game. I feel like that's where you want to shoot.
The offensive production has to definitely take a step up. That is for sure. That is for sure. But we got to give John Kippen a chance.
Mm-hmm.
He still does. He's going to be serviceable. I think that's, if he can just be serviceable, this team will be okay. And if they keep playing the way they're playing, I mean, they really have developed a next man up mentality. And this game sort of punctuates that with Yordi Reyna having a career game, just coming in. And this has really been the story of the whole season. It's players that you didn't expect anything from starting to pick it up, starting to get it done. And I know this might bring on Rich to Cock, but I know our longtime listener Rich has talked about how nobody certain players didn't benefit from Losada's system after I made the comment. Yordi Reyna is starting to benefit from the system, especially after that game. Obviously comes off the bench. He picked up an injury, but he had a really strong game. I think he won goal of the week too.
He did,
which I don't actually ever remember like really putting out a poll to vote. I didn't know he was up for goal of the week. It's been a crazy week. I hope John was on top of that.
I did. I think I posted it. Yeah, but I think this might have just been a week where no Seattle or Atlanta or they didn't score any goals or something, because that's a very uncommon. We're not great with the Twitter voting. But it's, other sort of notes from the Columbus game that were interesting. DC United had 70% possession for the game, which is not generally the way we've played, particularly on the road. But it was really, aside from the two goals, it was a dominating performance. The pressure is now getting to the degree where they can bust it out at any time, and almost no team really can account for it.
Yeah.
They're now, the players that are able to stay fit they have the wind to just do it and not stop. Are able to just push for 90 minutes. And it's really putting teams under a real big problem. Columbus couldn't handle it. There were lots of sour grapes from the coach from Columbus about how basically, they did what we thought they were going to do, and we gifted them this, and they didn't really win it. We just lost it, like just garbage loser talk.
No, yeah. I mean, all the goals came from all 4 goals. I think with the exception of the Yordi Reyna goal, that was a goal definitely on a break. But the 3 goals all were generated, at least in part, from defensive pressure, just dispossessing the defense. I don't remember the player. I remember there was one player. I'm not sure if it was it Kita or Mensah. I can't remember. I think it might have been Kita. Was just having an awful game. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was at least dispossessed twice. I'm trying to remember who exactly the defender was. I'm looking at the lineup. I think that's who it was. But just entirely, DC would just win the ball. They would have quick, and it was smash and grab goals. But it's not like it's fortunate or lucky. It's a designed way that Losada wants to play, and we're seeing that be a very, very effective system. It's not going to be effective 100%, and we'll get to the next game where sometimes it's not very effective, and you have to find other ways to win. Other than that, I mean, again, Julian Gressel is starting to find himself. He had another really strong game, I thought. Obviously we talked to Yordi Reyna, we talked Ola Kamara, 2 goals, really hammering in that, showing that goal scoring rate that I talked about when he first signed here. I was like, look, he scores goals wherever he comes, and I was made to look like a fool. And he has completely recovered. Any other performances you want to highlight in this game? Anything?
No, I think the important thing is the goal scoring, and I think having Junior Moreno has also been sort of a tricky, consistent performer of late. I think if you look at his match ratings since he's been back from national team duty, very, very solid. The other defensive midfielder position is something to watch. And Moses Nyman got the start on the he was suspended for the Columbus game, but got the start in the game we're going to talk about, Montreal. I think it'll be interesting to watch what happens when Knaus comes back, because I don't think Moreno's making way in this lineup right now at all. Even unless it's just for rotation. I think that like the Drew Skundrich role, I believe that Hernan has a big soft spot for how Moreno plays the game. Doesn't make mistakes, plays to the system. So that will be interesting to watch. Knaus obviously needs to get back on the field because he was one of the better players of the team when he was healthy. But still, there will be a big need to make sure that Moses continues to grow. You've seen what has happened with Kevin Paredes getting the opportunity to play every week in and out, and it's that he's blossomed fully. And again, I keep teasing the Montreal, but Hernan had really good things to say about Kevin Paredes, like really, really nice things to say about him. So yeah, great win, not unexpected, I think, from my perspective. Columbus not performing maybe as well as they were at the beginning of the year or obviously last season, but great points to get on the road. Fantastic.
And I think other than the free kick, I'll have to go back and look. I think it was Darlington Nagbe out on the field. DC really shut him out the entire game. And Zelarayan, I think, only had at least a couple opportunities. Obviously, he gets sort of a poacher's goal. But if you're giving those types of goals up to Zelarayan, you're not giving up other goals, or you're not allowing him to get assists. You've done a good job. And yes, Columbus is struggling. There's no doubt about it. They have slid down the table. They look sort of very much like a shell of their former selves, but they were undefeated at home coming into this. And DC United came out and dominated the game for the first half, and sealed it up. And that's a sort of a symbol that things have changed. Things have changed with this team, and things have changed with how this team is playing. We got a poll question down there at the bottom. Should DC use a DP slot for a striker this offseason? Everybody's been talking about how, we need to go get a striker. We need to go to a striker. Now you got a goal scorer who's knocking at the Golden Boot race in Ola Kamara. Do you use that DP slot? So go ahead and just get your votes in, comments as well. We'll try to read them as we can.
Yeah, we've got one. We've got one here from Ceylon14. Mm-hmm. I've been critical of Ola Kamara in the past, but I think I've narrowed it down to this. Ola doesn't always look like the type of striker I expected to thrive in the system, but I genuinely think the man is having a personal renaissance, regardless of Gressel, if they can ever connect passes. Ola is confident and playing very smart, so my hat's off to him, and this is my public apology to him. I think there's lots of public apologies to Ola Kamara, myself included. I think there is... I always talk about confidence with him, and right now he's playing with 100% confidence. The man is floating around the field right now, and how could you not be? If you look at this, if you look at his score rate, 1 goal every 30-something minutes. I think if anybody in the chat could give us the exact number, it's getting ridiculous. I
think it went up a little bit because he only had 1 goal. I think it's like 62 or something like that. So it went up from 59. But I don't think we expect him to hold that, to sort of hold that forever. Matt Doyle has said as much as well, that he doesn't expect that to continue. But
who does? I mean,
yeah,
clearly it won't. But we're enjoying it for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you talk about confidence. I mean, we'll talk about, I think every goal he has had, the PK, the first goal, he gets in front of the goalkeeper, one-on-one with the keeper. I'm like, he's going to score that. And he just does it. And it's awesome to see. It's awesome to have a striker that has that confidence. I think even in the Rooney days, because Rooney was a very different type of player, it's been a very, very long time since we had a player, a striker that you just knew, even when he's out of a game, he's going to find a goal. And we'll talk a little bit, maybe, like I said, teasing the Montreal talk, because that's a little fresher in our mind. Anything else before we're going to kind of move on? Any other performances? Anything else you want to highlight from this game?
Nope. Glad Drew Skundrich got a little bit of time in there. And he's the guaranteed sub. He's the new Segra as far as for sure, based on game state, he's gonna get an appearance. So,
yeah. Let's talk. I've tried to watch as much as the Spirit as I can. It's been a little bit of busy time for me. I promise I will get back into it. We'll get back into it on Friday. We're going to be co-streaming the Washington Spirit game here on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, let's blow that up a little bit for a second.
Yep.
So we're gonna not only will we co-streaming, we'll be doing a pregame show, potentially with a guest from the Washington Spirit. TBD on that. We're going to be broadcasting the game live with commentary. This is the first time Ted and I have ever done this. So set your expectations accordingly. But it's going to be a good time. We're gonna be sort of doing our best to add a little color to the game, and then we're also going to have post game with call-in after the game. So that's what we're doing. This is the cool thing that NWSL has done with Twitch. By the way, I think MLS should absolutely do this. They won't because of their contracts, but also no one watches their games on linear TV. Their ratings are horrible. So they should think in the way that NWSL is thinking and try to think out of the box and figure out a way to make these a little bit more entertaining. So
I don't know if you remember, but do you remember, I think it was on like the Fox Soccer Channel days, they used to have the like EPL broadcasts where like they put the two fans.
I love those.
Like
fan cam basically. It was like a fan broadcast. That was so good.
I think Fox Soccer like tried it once for MLS and it wasn't as good because I think they just didn't do a good job finding like
MLS.
Good comment. Yeah, call us up.
Call us up. We'll do it.
Put me and Mark Fishkin on a DC Red Bulls podcast. Watch the sparks fly.
There you go.
That's all I got to say. But yeah, definitely check us out with that. We're gonna be talk full pregame, postgame. Like I said, obviously we're gonna have a call in as well. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
I will be participating live from my dad's office in his house in Gloucester in the middle of nowhere. So prayers in the chat for my internet in the middle of Gloucester. We'll make it work. Whatever happens, we've done worse. Yep. We've podcasted in the middle of like a hurricane before. So so that's the good thing about the Spirit that's coming up. Now let's talk less good things about the Spirit. So Portland Thorns come to town. The problem with the Portland Thorns is that they are extremely good. They're extremely good without their Olympians. They're extremely good with their Olympians. I believe they have a 10-point lead in first place right now over Orlando in second place. So there's a gap between the first and the second place, and there's a gap between the 9th and the 10th, and then everybody else in the middle is just a big splat sandwich. I think the Spirit are in 7th right now. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The Spirit lost 1-0 off the back of another loss. Previously, that was the game against Chicago, I believe. I think that was 3-1, I believe. I'm sorry if I got that already. But things of note for this game, Segra Field is bad for the Spirit. I believe they've won no games there this year. Pretty sure. The games have been poor because the ball does not move well, and that stayed the same here. Not a lot of opportunities created because of that. Olivia Moultrie started for the Timbers, or not the Timbers, the Thorns, not the Timbers. That would be notable if the Timbers were playing the Spirit. She's 15 years old. This is her first start in NWSL, and of course, what are you going to do? But she's going to score her first assist. The only goal of the game, perfect assist down the right line, down the right end line, sideline, puts it right on. Oh, am I forgetting her name? Simone Charlie. Sorry, right on Simone Charlie's head from about 6 yards out, and that was about it. There was an opportunity for Trinity Rodman to score in the first 15 minutes, I believe, and there was a save. A goal line save. Probably, I don't know if they give field players save of the week in NWSL or even allow them to be nominated. But that's what should have happened. There was it was Kristen Westphal slides it off the line. Somehow doesn't get it, score an own goal. Probably should have scored an own goal, but didn't. And then other than that, it really was a frustrating game, both to play and I assume, and to watch. Ashley Sanchez subbed off in the 65th minute. Mm-hmm. Not happy about that. For a reason, obviously. That's not really her thing. She's not a player that usually gets subbed off. Ashley Hatch was completely invisible. I think she was the lowest rated player on the entire team, on either team. At the end of the game, was not getting service. It was just, the Thorns are really good. They're just so much better, I think, right now than the teams around them. They were able to tactically just neutralize the Spirit entirely. Sayori Takarada comes back from the Olympics. Starts at right back. First time she's played at right back since preseason. Has a great game, almost equalizes, thumps the ball off the crossbar from the 18 that would have tied the game. Obviously did not, but she played great. She was fantastic. That was a sort of a emergency move because left back Tegan McGrady's out. There's not a lot of depth there right now until the national team players get back. So they moved Anna Helferty to left back, and then Sayori played right back. So overall, disappointing. the game against Houston is going to be their get right game. Houston is struggling mightily right now. The last time the Spirit played Houston on the road, they were technically the home team. That was the Segra wasn't ready yet, and they had to go play on the road as a home team. And they beat them there, and then they also beat the Reign 3 days after that. So good history here, and the Dash are scuffling. There is a chance that the players are back, that O'Hara and Sonnet and Radar are back. Julie Radar might be the one who's more likely to be able to play because she has been not playing for Sweden that much. I think she played twice. So maybe she makes it back, which is good because they need help along the back line. And hopefully this is an opportunity for them to get right. And hopefully the weather is not too crazy in Houston, because I can only imagine how gross it is. It's very gross in DC this week. Super sticky and all horrible. So I wonder how Houston is. I haven't had a chance to look at that. But that's that. It wasn't a very exciting game. I
want to ask you. You look at the struggles that the Spirit are having in Segra, but there is the nature of the argument. Well, the away team also has to deal with the same type of conditions. It's a level playing field, and you can't. In the United States especially, you can't afford really to drop. If you drop too many home games, that's going to do it. Obviously, we here at the show, everybody around the world wants the Spirit at Audi Field, 100%.
So do they.
And I guarantee you they do as well. Is that do you think that's the long-term solution, or do you think there's a way for the Spirit to come out and manage this? Is it going to be improvements, water on the turf to make it roll better? I don't know. What's the solution here? Because you can't drop home games.
Yeah, I just think this year is sort of a lost year because of that. Honestly, I think this is like a natural handicap that they have been forced. There's not any, some of the players will look at that situation and say, we've just got to do better. And this is not an excuse. But that's not all the players. That's not coaches. That's not, I think the mentality is like, we've got to get away from Segra. It's killing us. And the play has looked like it. They just haven't been able to really come through the way they like in Segra. So the solution is next year they have to be at Audi Field the full season. And I bet they will. I think that's the hopeful plan.
Yeah. The good news is as well too that the Washington Spirit actually, that this is their last game at Segra Field will be September 26th. They just have one more game at Segra. Everything else is going to be at Audi. So they got the stretch. They are still very much alive in the standings. They are a game in hand on everybody but Gotham, and they are just first place is, I think, a little bit too much to stretch, but they are literally 3 points within the Courage in second place and even on games. So very much still all to play for the Spirit. They can put it together. You're getting the national team players back. I think we had kind of hoped this would be a situation where the Spirit would kind of, take advantage of everyone else missing, players and Rodman and Sanchez. Hasn't happened like that, but they're still very much alive. They can certainly turn it around. They can also fall apart. Kansas City is the only team definitely this is a lost season for them. So
yeah, it doesn't get super easy here. The Houston game is their sort of must win. Then they've got the Pride. Then they've got the Courage. Then they've got the Thorns again. That's the next 3 games. So like you said, would have hoped that they could have accumulated more points here in this stretch, and they just didn't do it.
The good news is that the game at Segra is the game against Kansas City.
That's true.
September 26th. So that at least gives you an opportunity to pick up a win against the worst team. They've also been hit with some hard luck. Obviously, the red card against Gotham, questionable at best. Actually, it was rescinded, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to rescind it. Well, the damage was kind of already done at that point. So VAR please in NWSL. So they've had some hard luck as well. Certainly have had some hard luck, but hopefully they can turn it around in the next game against the Dash. Like I said, join us here 8 o'clock Friday. We're going to be co-streaming the game, commenting on the game, doing all the things. Hopefully John's internet holds up, and hopefully everything's good.
We will do our best. And also just a quick reminder to everybody who's streaming now, if you'd like to subscribe to the show on Twitch, we'd really appreciate that. Everybody gets one free Amazon Prime sub that they can utilize and not cost them anything and help the show out. So give that a shout. Thank you to those who have. I think we've got some subscribers tonight. Thanks to Gregory for gifting some. But just check that out if you're interested. And if you don't want to do it on Twitch, we always have our patreon.com/RFK Refugees open, which gets you all of our special episodes, interviews, and such a day early. So that's that.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely joining that in. All right, let's shift gears. We're going to go to the game that happened last night. And John, you did the special live post-game show for that. And I gave sort of my my thoughts on Twitter. I was flying back, had a late flight. I would love to extend my warmest regards to American Airlines for inconveniencing everyone else on the flight. Everyone else on my Richmond flight back to Richmond by having it take off at 10 p.m. so I could personally watch the DC United game, or most of it at least. I think my plane took off. I missed about the last 5 minutes of the game, but I think I got most of what happened in the game. So again, thank you American Airlines for that. This was a game. We sort of got, I think, two different DC Uniteds in this game. This was a game where literally, against Columbus, even on the road, everything had to go right. Most everything did. They were effective. They were, punishing on the press. They got their goals. In the game against Montreal, we saw how you beat a non-lopsided team. There's no big secret to how you do that. How you do it is you tell DC, here, have the ball. See if you can beat us. DC, I think their expected goals are really good. They lack some clinical. Opening the game, Kevin Paredes had a wonderful opportunity. Actually, a ball from Paul Arriola, and Paul Arriola also generated an opportunity. Then he struggled the rest of the game. John, you jump in. I don't want to take over.
No,
over the talk.
I think that's accurate. I think you pointed out Paul having a rough first half. He had 50% pass completion for the entire first half. Looked rusty. Came off around the 60th minute. Which was right. I think even if he wasn't tired, which I think he was, I think that was the right tactical move, and that's not usual for Paul. Paul, you really want to go 90 the best he can. I think the story here was the press continued to work. Montreal got a garbage goal on a shot cross that Kempen probably, if he was in better position, would not have elicited that cross. I think that was. I think that happened because they sort of saw how weird and out of position he was. But then Ola Kamara once again does the business. He just can't stop scoring. He's now scored. We actually have the number. It's 1 goal every 62.5 minutes. It helps that he doesn't play 90 minutes very often. That's really helping his average. He should continue to ask for the early sub. But he's just, the second goal obviously is the one that is the most exciting here. He scores almost a carbon copy goal that he scored against Inter Miami, where he just sets up, opens his hips, curls the ball around the goalkeeper to the far post. Very much a FIFA 19 goal. That's a player who's feeling himself. That's confident, and that decided that was the best opportunity. Like they had the replay sort of right over his shoulder. The camera angle is right there. If I'm looking at that goal, that's not the thing I'm thinking. Like I think there's another pass. Got to be a play here. I would not appear to be like, this is it. I'm not gonna take a run up. I'm just gonna curl this thing. So yeah, I mean, Ola Kamara is. It's weird to think that without Ola Kamara right now, we would be absolutely hosed, and we absolutely would. The striker depth is not here. Hernan Losada does not believe in Eric Sorga. Giovanni Bolivar was called up here solely for a body. He's not seen the field for a minute since he's been here. So really, honestly, unless this weird interleague loan termination and reassignment from Minnesota, which theoretically, Argentinian press seemed to think it was happening, of Wanchope. What's his last name?
I can't remember. I've only been kind of. There's been no reputable. Not to say the Argentine media is not reputable. There are people in Argentine media.
Ramon Avila from Boca Juniors via way of Minnesota United. Theoretically, he's supposed to have had his contract. He's been released by Minnesota, so that is true. But supposedly we're going to sign him on loan, even though it's outside of the registration window. So watch this space. I think Hernan would love to have a striker with experience behind Ola Kamara. Nigel Roberta has had a hard time staying on the field, not getting injured. Not really his fault, but it is just kind of the way it is. Hernan he does not feel comfortable having the choices behind Ola Kamara being what they are. he's riding the hot hand right now, and I don't blame him. But I think it's wise for him to be like, really, anybody, please, anybody else.
Well, you have to be looking too, because I mean, Ola Kamara has picked up injuries. I mean, there has been a almost direct line of players that have gotten injured this season and then have re-aggravated those injuries. We talk about what happened with Bill Hamid. He re-aggravates his injury or he picks up a hamstring injury. So I think there's a lot of that. Like, I need something else in here because the depth, is not good. And if Ola Kamara goes down, this year gets a lot harder because Yordi Reyna looked much better when there was a striker. He is not a striker, and things get a lot harder. I'm a little bit upset that you neglected to mention the best goal of the game.
Yep.
Let me start with this. So I claim this. I was writing a tweet. I was thinking about this game. I was watching the first half. We're down 1-0. Montreal was letting him have the ball. The final pass wasn't there. The only really positive thing that was happening was Kevin Paredes was causing the Montreal defense fits, and we'll talk a little about what happened in the second half. But just he seemed to be the only player other than Ola Kamara. I thought Ariel was dropping back a little bit too much. I mean, he was recovering the ball. He was doing a nice job there, but I wanted to see him press up a little bit. Kevin Paredes was the only one in that front three that was actively pressing and really causing fits. I think he generated at least 2 current corners from just pressing the ball and the Montreal defense making mistakes. But I was kind of watching the game. I said, and I see the fouls on Kevin Paredes, and I was seeing Julian Gressel's service, and I'm like, I feel like DC's only going to come back in this game if they can, recommit to that press, really recommit to that when Montreal has the ball and not let them sort of move the ball quickly because that's what they were doing. They were essentially getting the ball and they was like, go forward. And as soon as they broke that first line of press, the game was on for them. And I thought, it's only going to happen on a foul, free kick, or, we managed to figure out that press and we can get our, defenders or our midfielders higher. And sure enough, as I was literally thinking about writing that tweet, Julian Gressel gets a free kick, ball goes over the top, and Andy Nahara gets his first goal back since 2011. So absolutely thrilled for him. That was a big moment. He went over and hugged the coach. Just an incredible season from him. I'm sure this has to feel good after all he's been through in Europe. To get that goal was great in front of the home fans as well. So hats off to him. He had another excellent game, just all over the place, doing things from that center back
doing
position.
Andy Nahar things that only Andy Nahar can do. He also leaves the game with a small injury. I have not heard anything about what that means. The good thing is the team has an entire week to recover. Brian and I talked about this on the post-game show. Andy has had a great run here, obviously, but also his body has not gone through this much wear and tear in quite a while. But they can't take him off the field because he's so dynamic, and he offers something that nobody else can really offer from that position. So hopefully he can recover this week and he's ready to go for Nashville. I think he'll be integral for that game on the road. I think it would be great if he's able to play. But Cogsworth Worthington says Andy is clearly player of the year. No, he's certainly comeback player of the year if they did that. But I think it's there's a lot of candidates now. I think
I think it's between 3. I think it's between Julian Gressel, Andy Nahar, and Ola Kamara.
Yep.
Right now. Clearly. One thing I want to add to Andy was great in this game. Tony Alfaro and Fred Brilliant were also excellent in this game.
Yep.
This game would have a very different result if they were not out there on the field. They made Brilliant bringing up the defensive stops, and obviously Tony Alfaro's pressure once DC committed, more center backs forward. I am sure that was, Ernlon Lasada in the locker room. We need to be pressing more. We can't be sitting back. We can't be just letting this team in. And Tony Alfaro gets pressure on the ball, wins the ball, and that's the ball that falls to Ola Kamara, who just finishes it confidently. Other things I want to highlight, maybe some not so good things. I didn't think, obviously Pariola, rough on the passing front. I thought he got a little bit better as the game went on, but kind of a slow game back from him. So I'm hopeful we're going to see more. Hopefully he's just trying to, you spend all your day training with one team and then you got to come back and figure things out. And DC has kind of changed a little bit. There's a lot of different personnel out there. Obviously, I thought Joseph Mora, again, this is a guy. If you want to talk about a player that's not going to be here next year, it's going to be him. He's fine, I guess, as the defensive, but I thought maybe he looked a little more at home. I think having Kevin Paredes out there be the more higher line defensive midfielder, I think definitely helps. The more attacking winger, I think definitely helps.
He's not a get forward guy.
Yeah,
so the less he has to do that, the more he can do what makes him a talented player. Yeah. So I think it's all about tactics for him. So if there's a way to continue to keep him playing where he doesn't have to be more than he is, then you can keep him. But I think he's certainly not. That's not his strength. That's not where you really want him up the field too much.
And I want a couple more things to add. I thought actually Junior Moreno did not have a good game. I did not think he was strong.
Footmob disagrees with you. He was I think he was like an 8.5 or 9.
He did good. I thought he suffered from some of the same things that Paul was suffering from. I think he did a good job defensively, but just sort of the passing just kind of wasn't there. His sort of last pass. I thought Moses Nyman was, again, it was good to see him. I thought he put in a solid shift. I thought he put in a solid shift. Maybe you disagree. You're kind of waving.
Yeah, I do. I don't think he was that good. Junior Moreno at an 8. Moses Nyman, second lowest DC United player. Third lowest. So
shows what I know.
Well, I think it's that's those. I think there's a lot of stuff that you don't accumulate when you're watching, as far as like failed interceptions and turnovers but yeah, I think that Moreno's pretty solid. I just think that there's no way that he makes way for Canals, so it's one of those positions. But I don't want Moses to be a victim of that scenario. Obviously, there's still rotation. But those positions, I don't think he likes to rotate unless there's an injury.
I think we're still seeing a player that is young. He's the youngest player. He has the highest ceiling. We saw what happens, how Kevin Paredes has really just established himself as he's not getting off the field, whether it's wing back or whether it's starting up as the top winger on this team. If there is a position on this field he can play, he's going to be out there. And I think, I want to see that from Moses. We'll see. We'll see kind of how he develops. I think he's still going to get opportunities. This team has a lot of games coming up. And fitness is going to be an issue, especially in this system as they go down the line, and, potentially injuries too. And I think Moses is going to have I don't want to say a lock on that spot, but I think, right now I think we're seeing, we love Felipe, but that he's definitely lost a step. Felipe, I think this is going to be Felipe's last season.
The good thing about him, Felipe is a very good player to come in with a lead in the last 6 minutes. He's not going to make a mistake.
Yep.
And he'll draw fouls. The unfortunate part is it does not feel like he's a 90-minute player now. And I'd love to talk to him too, to sort of really get an idea about where he feels he's at from a speed perspective and a pace of play and everything. But yeah, I overall, of course, this is 6 points out of those 2 games was phenomenal. Nashville, go ahead.
A professional win. That's what you can say about that Montreal game. That was a win where this team came in and just did enough to win, and they were not perfect by any stretch of the imagination in this game, and they just found a way to win. And Coswell, Worthington brings up Flores. We'll see what happens. He needs to get on the field. Right now, he's not on the field. And right now, I mean, does he unseat Paredes? Does he unseat?
What's the most important ability? Availability.
It's the availability.
and he ain't had it. So we'll see.
He will get another opportunity.
Sure.
I project he will get one last opportunity, and then I don't know if the team moves on. I don't know. I don't know what you do at this point.
He's gonna make me look bad like Ola Kamara made me look bad.
He's gonna make all of us look bad. Even Ola Kamara. I will not say that I was 100%. Oh, Ola's got it. At all. I had very much, I think about May or June, I'd kind of said, all right, I think we need to do something else in the summer window. So he made a fool of me as well.
DCU Striker 9 makes a point that we're still less than 12 months out of Felipe's ACL injury. I think that's true. And it's also, he's younger than you think. He's still, I think, maybe 30. He's not really that old. The question is, he's on a 1-year contract with an option. And he's making pretty good money. So that remains to be seen what the team wants to do. I think that his leadership is valuable. I think that it's just a question of salary cap and a question about making sure that you're able to get Moses minutes.
I mean, I would love to see him if they could figure out a way to, do what they did for Josh Wolf, do what they did for Ben Olsen, do what they did for a lot of other players, which was basically like, okay, we're gonna put you on we're gonna continue to pay. We're gonna cut your player salary, but we're gonna make you a player assistant coach, and you're gonna be an assistant coach on this roster while also playing. So, but you're still gonna be part of the team. They've worked that, and it's actually a very effective way to circumnavigate MLS rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we could see something like that. I think I would love to have him. Excellent locker room guy. Love to have him. Love to have him on the field.
I also love that I commented the horrible player on Montreal who I cannot stand. I believe it was their captain this last game, Mr. Piet, Samuel Piet. The last thing I remember about him is him kicking Paul Arriola in his first game back in his knee, and me thinking I was going to have to go down there and settle business. But I tweeted that if he kicks Paul again, that Felipe should sub in whatever minute it is. And Felipe liked that tweet because Felipe knows that someone's gotta enforce, and who better than he? But we're just so happy at the way that this week played out. I think that this game against Nashville, if they're able to get 9 points on the trot, you gotta feel good. Even with the injuries, even with everything else, you gotta feel good about this team's playoff chances, right? You gotta feel you're starting to feel very good about, for sure, making the playoffs. And then now our mind comes back to, we have the cycle throughout the year. It's about, I think we're going to be top 4. All right, I think we're going to be 8. All right, I think we're going to be 6. I think we're going to be 8. And now we're very much like, we're in the good spot. We're above the concern about where we make the playoffs. And now it's about how can we continue this intensity, continue these results, beat the teams at the top of the table when we get an opportunity to, and not just play them close, steal a couple points there, and then we're really moving as the season gets shorter and the weather gets cooler.
Yeah, and I think you talk about where this team lies, and right now they're a playoff team. High ceiling is 4th, 3rd. They're apparently 3 points out of second, or a few points out of second.
Yep,
it's close. Obviously, New England's running away with it right now as far as like first place goes, but it's very much alive. I mean, we're the idea of a home playoff game first seemed kind of like, first playoffs were just like the absolute ceiling, like 5th, 6th, 7th. Was like the absolute ceiling we thought for this team. Now it's maybe a home playoff game. Maybe we start, pushing that. And then these one match games, who knows? Want to make a special call out and shaming of Kamal Miller on his terrible tackle on Kevin Paredes. That should have been, in my opinion, that should have been a red. I think that needs to be reviewed. And I think the disciplinary committee, Paredes was torching him all game. He basically burned around him, and he was done. He's like, I got to make this tackle. Absolutely horrid tackle. I thought should have been considered for a red, considering how bad that was. And I think MLS needs to start looking at this and saying, like, look, like this is putting a player in danger. And by not punishing these fouls, not going back and reviewing these, you're opening yourself up to injuries. So
thank you for reminding me what was said. So Hernan Losada in postgame was talking about that foul. Miller also kicked Yordi Reyna 15 feet in the air, and he landed on his butt. So he probably shouldn't have been on the field even to be able to have done that. But in the postgame, Hernan Losada was like, the league needs to protect these players. If you want to see exciting soccer and young, talented players, you have to keep them healthy and alive on the field. And he made a comment that was very much like, it was almost like Beckham era DP referee favoring. Like he had that much MLS knowledge that DPs used to get the special rub of the green from the refs. And he made a comment, he's like, oh, they used to take care of DPs like this. And then he said, of course, Kevin is not a DP as far as on paper, but if you look at the way he is for us, he is a DP. And I commented, wow, that's great for Kevin. Also, Kevin is like, but money though. Like, we could make this thing official if you want to. You got an empty spot. I got money that I could certainly have. But just awesome how Paredes has really become a key player for this team in 2 months, basically. It's amazing.
We've already started to hear the rumors. Every game he goes out there in the field, I feel like I chop off a week Every game he goes out there, I chop off a week of where I thought maybe he might get sold. It's getting less and less each year. I am saying enjoy Paredes while you have the chance. I don't think he gets sold in the winter. I've been wrong before. I think the team's gonna want to get that value up as high as they can. But we're talking next summer.
Yeah.
Next summer, a very real possibility. If he keeps this up, he has to keep it up, obviously. I could see him going on a loan. I could see DC work out a loan, maybe a loan in if he wants it, in the winter, to give him a chance to advertise himself. We saw it with Andy, and he really wanted to stay, and he stayed. So
I'll tell you what, if Paredes, if we get into the playoffs and win a game or two, and Paredes is there and he feels like going, I'm going to be his biggest booster, going wherever he wants to go. I think that you've got to make sure that you give these players like him a spotlight and then an opportunity to leap. What happens then after that is that's not your responsibility, but your job is to make sure that no one feels trapped playing for DC United. So let's do it this year and then see where we go from there. If he keeps, but like you said, he's on a flight path right now. Like it is just straight up. He's getting a lot more attention from national team fans. He's getting more attention from MLS fans in general. He's getting attention internationally as a player. I forget what somebody called him a flamboyant winger today in a scouting report I saw. I was like, all right, flamboyant winger. But yeah, this is if he keeps it up, there's just no way you could keep him, and there's no way you should keep him.
Yeah. Because Kevin had some meat on him. He beat England bound last week. I don't know if I necessarily. I think it's been a little bit too soon. I do think he does. I will say one thing I love about Kevin is he gets fouled a lot, and he always gets up and goes at it next round. And that is an incredibly important skill to have, especially when you get up in the higher leagues, because you talk about the Premier League and everything like that. They are not afraid to do things like that. They are not afraid to tackle, go in hard. So I think that's an incredibly good skill. And if I'm a manager, I'm watching that and saying this dude's like getting fouled all over the place, and he's able to mentally just handle that and say, "Yep, let's keep going." So
that's that. Yeah. I think those are two great games and one real bummer game for the teams that we cover. Did Loudoun play this weekend?
Maybe.
I think they probably did. That's a
they had a 0-0 draw to the Charlotte Independents.
There you go. Hey, points. Home points.
No, I really want, like, I have gotten the point, like, I still get the foot mom notifications for Loudoun United, and it's like every game it like kickoff, and then it's like 4th minute goal. and so this one was surprising. I like, the game started. I haven't got any 0-0. Okay, well.
Yeah, it's rough out there for the Stampede and whatnot. Anyway, I think that's about us for the week. A reminder: Friday, starting at producer Brian. I don't have the time.
8 p.m.
That's when the game starts. So I think we'll probably be live maybe 7:30 to do our pregame.
No, the game starts at 8:30. We'll be live at
8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 8 o'clock. Tune in. See how my internet is in Gloucester, and then we're gonna be. Oh, we didn't talk. I'm sorry. Cogsworth mentions the Gressel Girls, the new supporters group. There were a group of young fans of Julian Gressel, very close to the hot mic for the game of Montreal. Just sort of, you could only hear them, and that's great. I love when fans come and have a good time, particularly cheering on one of our good looking wingers, our flamboyant wingers. But I think the absence of La Banda continues to be noticed. I've heard a lot of people. I've gotten a couple texts from people saying what's going on.
They have tweeted that they'll be back. They'll be back next. I think they said next game.
That's good, because I've gotten a lot of people asking me what's going on, and then I explain them, and that's again. I'm like, listen, I don't control it. I just know about it. But anyway, so that was the thing that happened, Cogsworth. I said I was going to mention that. But anyway, make sure you catch up with us on Friday night at 8 o'clock. We're going to be doing the pregame. We're going to be doing the broadcast. We're going to be doing a postgame. If you're not really an NWSL fan, you don't normally watch, great opportunity. We're the gateway drug to you for NWSL. If you listen to us, stay for us, enjoy the soccer as an auxiliary. And also a last reminder, thank you again to everyone who subscribed to the show on Twitch. If you look at the way this show looks now, obviously, we have fully committed to being Twitch streamers for the show. Brian has put a lot of work in, so if you like that and you want to be here live and see stuff as it comes out, subscribe. You can do that with your own money, or you can do that with Jeff Bezos' money in the form of a free Prime subscription. You can also download the show and listen to it the normal way if you don't want to do Twitch, which is how you're hearing this on Tuesday morning. So we just want to thank everybody who continues to support the show in the numerous ways that we ask you to, be it by a t-shirt, be it by a scarf, on Patreon, all the ways that you guys do it. You all do a wonderful job in making us continue to do this multiple times a week, every week for multiple years. Were it not for the interest and support, I can guarantee you Ted and I would find other things to do with our time. I'm sure that our families would be appreciative of that, but we continue to do it because the response is so great and the support is so great. So thank you for that a million times. And that's all of the plugs that I have for this week.
Yep. Thank you all so much for listening. Twitter.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're there. We got a blog post we're doing. We got everything we're doing. You guys are incredible. I want to say we started the show. It's for the fans. I wanted to make this for the fans, by the fans, to borrow an old Around the League line for DC fans particularly. And that's what the show's all about. We could not do this without you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you guys on Friday, maybe a little sooner for some interviews.
Who knows? We're flying loose this week.
We're flying loose this week. I'll probably look to maybe get a Nashville preview out for you guys. So we'll check you guys next on Friday at the very least. Vamos.